Though Princess Diana died when he was 15, her absence is not a static historical fact, but an evolving presence. Major life events, his wedding, the birth of his children, his assumption of her patronages, reopen the dialogue with her memory. As he raises a family, the question of what might have been, of the grandmother his children never knew, carries a poignant weight. He has spoken of wanting her to have met Catherine, to have known her grandchildren. This perennial, decades-long grief is a baseline, a foundational layer of his experience.
The very public unraveling of his relationship with Prince Harry, detailed in interviews, a documentary, and a memoir, represents a devastating dual loss. First, the loss of the functional brotherly bond, the confidant who shared the unique burden of their upbringing. Second, the loss of privacy and narrative control, as intimate family disagreements became global headlines and best-selling books. The Harry-shaped hole in his life is not just personal. It has professional ramifications, stripping the royal family of a senior working royal and consolidating public duty onto an ever smaller core, with William and Catherine at its center. 2021 was the loss of a formidable patriarch, a man William described as his special guide. Philip represented a model of unwavering duty, stoic support, and acerbic wit, an anchor in the storm. His passing was a profound change, but it was a rehearsal for the cataclysm that followed just 9 months later, the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Her passing was not just a familial bereavement, it was the end of a 70-year epoch. For William, it meant the loss of his beloved granny, the steady, reassuring presence who had been a constant his entire life. But it also meant the instantaneous transformation of his father into king, and himself into the Prince of Wales, the direct heir to the throne. The mantle of future sovereignty, which once felt distant, settled firmly and irrevocably upon his shoulders. The man who mourned a grandmother simultaneously had to embody the continuity of the institution she represented. Abdominal surgery, and subsequently entered a period of prolonged recuperation away from public duties. Catherine is not just his wife, she is his most trusted partner, his emotional ballast, and his co-strategist in redefining a modern royal path. Her enforced absence from his side at engagements is a personal loss of daily support and a professional challenge, leaving him to face the cameras in the crowds as a solo act, amplifying his every expression. William's sad appearance cannot be divorced from the immense pressure of his current role. He is no longer a supporting player. He is the understudy who has been moved to center stage, performing nightly while also preparing for the lead role. The Duchy of Cornwall is not just a title, it is a massive landed estate he is responsible for managing. The Prince of Wales is not just a name, it is a portfolio of causes. Homelessness, mental health, environmental conservation, he is expected to champion with tangible results. The Council of State role means he must be prepared at any moment to step in for his father, the king, should illness or absence require it. His diary is a masterclass in relentless, high-stakes diplomacy, from hosting world leaders to visiting food banks, each moment parsed for political meaning and emotional authenticity. He inherits an institution still reeling from the departure of Harry and Meghan, the passing of its longest-serving monarch, and ongoing public debates about its relevance, cost, and colonial legacy. He is tasked with the modernization of the monarchy, a precarious tightrope walk between tradition and progress, between embodying history and appearing accessible. Every word, every initiative is a strategic move in this long game of survival. At home, he is raising Prince George, who now bears the weight of being a future king after him. William, who experienced the invasive scrutiny of the press as a child mourning his mother, is fiercely protective of his children's privacy, the anxiety of preparing them for a fate they did not choose, while shielding them from the very spotlight that defines his existence, is a profound and private burden. Why does this perceived sadness trigger such deep concern? This reaction is a multifaceted phenomenon. For a generation, the sight of a seemingly sad or isolated royal immediately triggers memories of Diana, trapped and unhappy within the system. The public, consciously or not, fears a repeat of that history. They see William, Diana's eldest son, and their protective instincts and their latent guilt over their role in her narrative are activated. The concern is genuine, but it is often filtered through a decades-old trauma. The modern monarchy has survived by allowing the public glimpses behind the curtain. William and Catherine, with their social media, relaxed family photos, and advocacy for mental health, have pioneered a model of relatable royalty. The downside of this successful humanization is that when William looks tired or subdued, we no longer see just a prince performing a duty, we see a man shouldering a burden. We relate to him as we would to a neighbor going through a hard time, forgetting the vast gulf of context and privilege that separates us. The public and the media have a narrative investment in the Windsors. After the turmoil of recent years, William and Catherine are cast as the steady, dependable future. Any sign of strain in William is read not just as personal difficulty, but as a threat to that narrative of stability. If he falters, what does that mean for the story of renewal the monarchy is counting on?
The clickbait headline, designed to alarm and attract, does something else entirely upon closer inspection. It holds up a mirror to our complex, often contradictory relationship with the British royal family. Prince William's sad appearance today leaves royal watchers deeply concerned is not merely a piece of gossip. It is a starting point for a deeper conversation about duty, personal grief in the public eye, the anatomy of concern, and the relentless pressure of an inherited future. To understand the concern he sparks today, we must journey through the past 7 years of his life, a period marked by profound loss, institutional crisis, and a relentless redefinition of his destined role. The narrative always begins with an image. Perhaps it is from a walkabout, where William, Prince of Wales, is seen leaning down to accept the bouquet. The camera catches him not in the smile, but in the micro-expression that flickers just after. A slight, almost imperceptible downturn of the mouth, a shadow in the eyes that seems to look beyond the crowd to a private horizon. Or maybe it is at a formal engagement, suited and tied, where his posture is impeccable but his face appears drawn, the light catching new threads of silver at his temples and lines of fatigue that seem etched a little deeper than those of a man just past 40. These visual cues are the raw data for the royal watchers and the wider public. In the economy of monarchy, the face of a future king is a national asset and a canvas onto which the public projects its own anxieties, hopes, and diagnoses. A thin face becomes gaunt. A thoughtful moment becomes preoccupied. A day of quiet demeanor becomes sad. This parsing is not new. The world did the same with his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, and with his father, King Charles III. But for William, the scrutiny intersects with an unparalleled period of personal and institutional tumult. To label an appearance merely sad is to ignore the tectonic shifts that have shaped William's reality since 2017. His emotional landscape has been fundamentally altered by a sequence of losses, each compounding the last.